Boris Johnson, Mayor of London, is with me tonight. Boris,
Arnab,
thank you very much.
My
nice
pleasure.
to meet you.
Great pleasure to be here.
One looked forward to seeing you ever since you did that great job with the Olympics.
Well, it did go well. It went much better than we thought it would in many ways. And it was, I hope it was a good advertisement for London, which is really why I'm here.
Certainly it was. It was a good build-up. You were a great advertisement for London.
Well, no. The reality was that a lot of the things that people thought would go wrong, the tube or the buses and the security, it all went fantastically well. I mean, the only bit of transport infrastructure to malfunction was a zip wire in which I found myself temporarily suspended. But otherwise, it was a really good advertisement, I think, for a welcoming, open, diverse, multinational, multiracial, multicultural city. And that's the message we're trying to get over about London.
You spent 1 week in India. That's a long time.
It is a long time
for the Mayor of London to spend in India. And your principal focus is business. Let's take a few straight questions. Why should Indians invest in the UK when even British companies think the best investments are overseas?
Because they will find a welcome in London and they'll be able to do business in London. I think virtually unlike anywhere else on earth. We still have the largest financial sector anywhere in the world. We have more top-class universities than anywhere in the world. I was talking to some people this morning from Bharti Airtel who've just bought Zain in Africa. Now, where did they do the deal? They did it in London.
Yes, but they didn't invest in the UK.
And the funny thing is that during this trip alone, we've had 2 Indian hotel chains have taken the decision to open new hotels in London. One of them right by my office. I mean, there's this old red brick school that I wondered what was going to happen to it for ages, doing nothing. Rather a beautiful old building. And then I've come to India and I've discovered an Indian company is going to build a hotel there.
82% of your companies were asked questions. Where would you invest? 82% of British companies said we find the favourable place to invest outside Britain.
Well, that's a tribute to their dynamism. And,
that's the greatest spin. That's a wonderful spin you put to it.
Their export-led initiative. But come on, for hundreds of years, it's been a tradition of Britain and of British companies to seek markets elsewhere and to invest elsewhere. But truly, in the last week or so, we've had IT companies coming, fantastic Indian IT companies announcing their opening in London, a university campus.
Excellent.
From an Indian university, from Amity University, deciding to open up in London. I think the reason...
Why are you, and not as in you, but why is Britain so suspicious?
This is...
for example, you're even suspicious of Indian students who pay money to study in the UK under your new visa policy. It's not about the tighter regime. It's about the message that you're sending out. That Indian students are not really welcome. We only want their money, but we don't want their presence.
Well, we do. Are
you sure about that?
We do, and I'm very glad you asked me this. As politicians always say, it's true. I really want to try to dispel this myth and this kind of bad word of mouth that's going around. London is the university capital of the world. It has more world-class universities than anywhere else. It has a fantastic range of higher education institutions, and it has, at the moment in London, huge numbers of Indian students, about double the number of 5 or 6 years ago. And it is very important that Indian students understand, potential Indian students who want to come to London, they should understand that our system is welcoming. Why should I not believe? Sorry to interrupt. Why should I not believe that you are saying this as the Mayor of London? So you have 2 policies. As the Mayor of London, you want the Indian students to come in, bring in the money, and make your universities thrive. But your government, Mr. Johnson, has a completely different perspective, which you have yourself slammed. I have. No, but you're asking a reasonable point. You're totally right to ask, because I think basically what's happened is that the government has been trying to deal with a particular problem, which was caused by the lax immigration policies of previous Labour government in 2004, and it's been a blunderbuss approach that has hit and caused a lot of uncertainty and confusion in vital markets like like India. And although it's true, as I said, that the numbers are well up on
yes.
previous years, we're worried that the numbers this year are down.
Is that the case? Because I would say, if I were to look at your own comments, Mr. Johnson, that I see a...
Go on.
You're not allowed to... You're not allowed to...
No, please. Am I not allowed to see my
notes?
No, come on. Okay.
I don't trust politicians by instinct, Mr. Johnson.
No, you're quite right. No, but I just thought I could assist you by reading your question.
You would read yourself. Because Mr. Boris Johnson, you've hardened your position on immigration. I see your comments in 2008, and you have a different position on... You actually voiced the support for the idea of an earned amnesty in 2008, despite opposition from both the Labour government and the Tory party. Now I find that in April, you have a different position. You say that a lot of illegal immigrants in the UK is not fair on people who are working very hard and legally in our country.
That's right.
Why have you changed your position?
Well, no, I haven't actually, because the problem with the situation at the moment is that you do have a lot of people who are irregular and who are not paying tax, and they're not part of the system. And the argument for the amnesty is that after a long period of time, it is absurd to keep these people in limbo.
Is that true? Because in 2009 you commissioned a study conducted by the London School of Economics, which found that the amnesty for 618,000 illegal immigrants will provide a $3 billion boost to the economy.
And
you were turning them into revenue.
But Arnab, the interesting thing is, actually, that after we did that, if you look at what the Home Office is really doing, you look at what is really happening to people who have been, chronic overstayers in the British system, they are effectively now given an amnesty as it is. Well, the only difference between my position and the official position is that I call it an amnesty, and the government doesn't really admit that it's happening.
How can you manage to take a position divergent from that from your own party? Because
my job is to stand up for the interests of the greatest city on earth.
Thank you very much for that, but I'm asking you this because
that's what I do.
In India, if you go against, or I would say even if you skew 10% away from the stated line of your party, you'd be thrown out.
Well, no one has shown any desire to throw me out yet. But that is because I think I genuinely stand up for what I think are commonsensical positions. And once they're properly explained, and, sometimes things can be willfully misunderstood, I think people do think they're right. For instance, let's just look at this issue about the visa situation for students and for senior Indian business people and all the rest of it. This can be represented as being soft on immigration and all the rest of it, and willing to accept dodgy. I'm not willing to accept dodgy applications. I don't want to encourage illegal
But you
immigration.
won't let an Indian student who studied for 3 years in the United Kingdom, who is a talented student, who's worked for 3 years, might be the topper of your university, to seek employment. And you would rather the person gets a notice to be packed up within weeks of finishing a course. I mean, the larger point I'm making is, in today's world, don't you need to open up a bit to competition?
No, that is absolutely right. And at a time, and that's why I've made the points that I've made to the government, and why you're right to say that on this issue, I am, as far as I can, on the particular issue of the student visas, I'm making a case that the government doesn't seem to agree with. I think I'm going to win the argument, just as I think the proponents of openness in the Indian economy are going to win that argument. So I think it's interesting to see what's happening with the FDI conversation. I think people are moving in the direction of openness, and that is the right way to go.
Well, I think it's admirable, Mr. Johnson, that you take a line different from that of your party and you have a position and stick by it. Tell me about the moment of the 7-minute zip suspension during the Olympics. The crowning moment of the of the London Olympics.
There will be an Indian Olympics.
I hope there will be an Indian Olympics.
When are you going to put in for it?
When we sort out the problems with the previous Commonwealth Games scam.
Well, they were very good.
I was joking about that. Tell me about the 7 minutes, Mr. Johnson, when you were up there, suspended mid-air.
I want you to know.
What were you hoping to achieve, and what did you end up achieving?
I'll tell you exactly. I was hoping to publicise Victoria Park, where we had a wonderful live site. I was trying to get people to come to our attraction. And I'd been very keen to have a zip wire, because they'd had them in Vancouver. And I said to my people, we've got to have a zip wire, we've got to have a zip wire. So they said, OK, all right, we'll put in a zip wire. And then I was told on the morning that I was going to be the first person to use it, and it was much higher than I thought was strictly necessary, and rather more scary. And there was a guy there, who strapped me in. I said, "Aren't you going to use this first to see if this works?" And he said, "No, we don't want to spoil your photo." And I was indeed stuck up there for quite a long time.
And they said you looked like a Christmas decoration right up there.
I was. And after a few minutes, I saw my security guard. They gave me a security guard during the Olympics who normally guards Tony Blair, but I was given this guy and I said to him, I spotted him in the crowd, and I said, "Carl, can you do something?" And very slowly he reached into his thing like that, and he took out his mobile phone and took a photograph of my rear end. That was his contribution to my predicament.
The Prime Minister said if any other politician had got stuck on a zip wire, it would have been disaster, but for Boris it's a triumph.
Well, what it did, Arnab,
it made you the story.
But it promoted Victoria Park. It got our live site on the map. We had huge numbers of people going to our live site.
So, how old are you now?
I'm 48.
By the standards of an Indian politician, you are an adolescent.
You're very kind to say so. Now I'm creaking.
When are you going to be running for a bigger job? I mean, it's generally believed that you're very ambitious. You strategize very well. You are increasingly popular.
No.
And I cannot believe that a 48-year-old up-and-coming politician who's got the momentum that you have behind him is going to let go of a chance to head the Tory party, or maybe even for Prime Minister.
I was elected in 2008, which was a great surprise to many people, and a great joy, because it's a wonderful job. I then got back in 2012, which was a very tough election to fight because Tories were behind, and it was difficult, but we got through it. And I've now got a term to do in which we have to deliver the legacy from the Olympic Games, and that's why I'm here in India.
That ends in 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, 3.5 years.
And you're retiring after that?
After that's 3.5 years is a long time in politics. We'll see what happens then.
I would like to meet you, Mr. Johnson, in 2017, and I hope that you will be proven wrong.
Well, I hope very much. Well, you come before 2017. I'm sure you'll be in London.
I have a sense we're possibly talking to the future Prime Minister of England.
Well, I can assure you that is about as likely as my being decapitated by a frisbee.
Every single.
I have a series of
do you know that
impossibilia.
Every single Indian politician who's become Prime Minister has, a few years before becoming Prime Minister, always denied that they ever want to be Prime Minister.
I see. Are you saying that logically speaking, the best way to deny it is to
the best way to deny.
That's right. In fact, the best way to prevent it happening would be actively to campaign for it.
I'm not doing a head job. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to see you.
Boris Johnson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.